Okay, mi hermano.
So, hi everyone. We are in the Peruvian high jungle, close to Tarapoto. Today is May the 27th, 2017. We're about to start our third time of transition retreat. The group is coming tomorrow. We already arrived a couple days before to set up and whatnot. And we thought to sit together and talk a little bit about the retreat, about many other things that are currently happening in this day and age. And so maybe we can start off with how did we meet? When did we meet? It was 11 years ago, 2006?
Yeah.
In the Sacred Valley.
Yeah, it's amazing how we meet up. The circumstances to bring us today here. Amazing, but yeah, I remember it was in my own process of healing and community project in the Sacred Valley and working with the indigenous and the cosmology around Peru, the Andes, and all about the sound healing. So yeah, and then I remember
we met
my dear Mama Kia.
Mama Kia,
Our dear Mama Kia, that amazing being.
Amazing woman.
That I really bonded.
Yeah, just to give reference, Mama Kia, she owned an orphanage in the Sacred Valley. She had this vision to take care of the children on the streets, and then founded this retreat center, Hanak Pacha, in the Sacred Valley, which she rented out for people to hold workshops, yoga retreats, ayahuasca ceremonies to finance the retreat. And I also really bonded with Mama Kia. We came really close. She kept inviting me just to do body work there, and eventually our paths crossed because we used to live in the Sacred Valley, right?
Yeah.
That's when you had the vision for the community you were involved in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know how this bunch of people show up in my house at that time. Mama Kia, Blair, and some other nice people, and I remember we connect right away with Blair as well.
Yeah, we connected right away, but then you also were on your path, I was on my path, so we never, 10 years ago, 11 years, never thought to be doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And you did sound healing and worked early on with Wachuma, San Pedro ceremonies, and then also came to the US, to California, to host ceremonies there, sound healing in Wachuma, and I organized some events in Topanga Canyon.
Yeah.
Right. And then we connected more and more. And then we both individually went forward years later through a very hard time, individual process of breakdowns and breakthroughs, death of the old. And then we decided to go together to the Amazonian jungle, right, with our good friend Umberto, the three of us, three amigos, hermanos, needing to have some brotherhood time. And that was intense, so we went to Pucallpa and then on a banana boat 8 hours deep into the jungle to stay with this family, Shipibo family, and the shaman, what was his name? Pancho, see. And that was intense because it was next to a swamp, right? I've never experienced so many mosquitoes. I think got hundreds of bites, but part of the adventure. And we did a few ayahuasca ceremonies there, really in a close circle. It was just Umberto, you, me, and another friend who was there, this French guy, what's his name? Florian, see. And then with Pancho and another curandero and his son, we had two curanderos.
Yeah, three actually.
Three, yes.
It was an old man.
So 3 curanderos and the 3 of us, so a really close circle at night. And it was intense. It was for the first time also when I experienced ayahuasca was not too much about the vision, but la purga, that urging, and I remember Pancho is really good working one-on-one, right, which I've missed in a lot of ceremonies in this day and age when there are too many people and you don't get individual attention. He was really working with me personally, helping me to process and purge, and it was amazing. But I think at the second or third ceremony, something happened to Pancho, right? He started to purge and like process.
Yeah. He couldn't even sing anymore.
He couldn't sing it, and I thought like, first thing, oh, he's just cleansing himself from the stuff he has worked with us. But then I remember his partners at the other Kandero asked us to leave, because he needed to work with him. And then the next day he shared with us that he was actually attacked, like a psychic hyperdimensional, not attack, from a neighboring curandero, like psychic warfare, who was jealous and envious that he was working with us, right? I think that was the story.
Yeah, and I have to say that those kind of situations, hermano, it's everywhere. In Peru, and the whole world. But here in Peru, talking about shamanism and medicine plant, and it's all the jungle is infected, and it's a daily thing through curanderos. It's like living the multidimensional reality, so intense, and fights, and they cross the line to the physical, and they can actually kill people or heal people.
I mean, it's like ayahuasca, like you said. I remember it's a power plant. You can use it for quote unquote bad or good. I mean, the sorcerers, people use it to curse other people, to put spells on them, literally. And what I've noticed as well, it's interesting with the infection, which reminds me of Huetico, right? The Native American, that alien virus that has infected humanity. And I see that, unfortunately, a lot of in Peru, especially after in this day and age with the ayahuasca hype and all of Westerners, gringos wanting to have the experience. But what I've noticed also in our experience, in the indigenous culture, there's this virus of envy and jealousy, right? And it's so fascinating because we as the Westerners want to get away with this romanticism away from the Western culture and the materialism, and experience this beautiful nature and spiritual work of ayahuasca. But here they are really drawn to what we have, they want to get away from the greed, the money, right? The almighty dollar, right?
Yeah.
And they're actually more removed also from their own indigenous practices, most than we are aware of, right? And then ayahuasca and all these medicine plants and the use has become distorted as well, right? Because like, whoa, it's a big cash cow now. And with that comes the rise of pseudo neo-shamanism and sorcerers, right, to take advantage.
And we get to the point also of question like why we are using these substances, like what is the purpose, This is not because I'm I've been drinking all these medicines or doing so much this kind of work, and then like in your daily practice, in your talk, in your walk, it's like doesn't fit. And all these years I realized that it's like a cardiologist, who works with the heart.
Yeah, it's a surgeon.
And then he talks, but he's like overweighted and eating, all this crap food, and it's like, and then it's like, and the same happened with me with certain shamans and healers. Like in that position, you're like very, very professional, but then after that, they're cheating their wives or getting drunk. Alcohol. So it's
those are shamans. Yeah.
So it's interesting how I see, that the matrix infects. Yeah. It's infection. I remember when I was in the jungle living in 2006. We went to a journey into the jungle. There was this young kid on the boat. So I felt to ask him, like, what is your passion or your dream? He was around 14 years, and he looked at me and he said, I want to go to Lima, the big city, in Peru. And I was deep inside of me. I was like, what? Why? Why do you want to go to the city? If you are living in this amazing place, nature and all the culture around, and it was interesting for me as the Western from the United States or Europe coming to this new world of South America, but at the same time, from the indigenous people, they want that. They need to experience that. So in that moment, it's like, yeah, how can I, you know?
You always want that which you don't have.
Exactly.
Right. That's what, like, children is, when they grow up, they rebel too.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of children, like hippie children, grown up in a hippie environment, they want to pursue business and make money and like want like this hippie lifestyle, and vice versa. Right? Yeah.
So yeah, at the end, it came to me, you know, the understanding of we need to go through the experience. So from there we can realize many other things. So at the end I said to him, okay, go for it, but just remember your land, remember the jungle, remember your people. I mean, it was a good way to understand that we cannot pursue the change of somebody else.
Yes.
You know, that
Yeah,
we just do.
We need to go through our own experiences. Always are lessons. And sometimes you experience, most often, like I can relate in my own life, it's trial and error. You also need to work, you know, experience what doesn't work, so you know what doesn't work. Right? Yeah. It's not like a straight line that it always goes smoothly. Yeah. Right? And there's no failure. It's just another experience. All those are lessons. At the end of the day, if you learn the lessons.
Yeah. So yeah. Sometimes we need to not
over and over
and over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember also before coming together in the jungle, I remember I found you in Esselen.
We like that
One
was
day.
Yeah, I was taking a workshop, a deep body work workshop, and you were there. Like that was the most amazing synchronicity.
Yeah.
That was before we went to the jungle.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like when our paths again crossed. And I didn't even know you were in the US anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was, I remember that morning. I woke up, I brought my flute, and I was playing to the ocean. And then I remember closing my eyes and playing and playing. And then it opened my eyes again, and I saw like hundreds of splashes in the ocean. And it was like, oh, what's that? And there were hundreds of dolphins moving. Like, I felt that very beautiful in that moment. And then I remember thinking, I wish I could see a whale. And for me, those connections, whale, dolphins, or eagles and condors, and all these expressions of coming together of these animals represent this time of transition. And like the Maoris work with whales, and I see all these ancient memory waking up in different ways through animals, trees, people, knowledge. Anyway, I felt that it was a beautiful connection. So when I found you and we were talking about our deep cosmic connection, and then I looked back to the ocean, and there was the whale showing up, like, boom, and I was like, okay. It was a good, you know, it's maybe for, you know, it's like these kind of things that happen in your life that make sense to you, and maybe somebody see it, that whatever, you know, it's how you process and how you read life.
Yeah, and also, like you mentioned, I feel like nature is constantly, or the divine is speaking through nature and giving us signs and symbolism if we can tune into it and get out of it, you know, like there's constant this guidance. And also, you know, the way we connect and how paths merge together, it's like there was beyond our conscious planning. There's something else, right, which I call, you know, what some people call the divine will, or something higher that works here that is almost quote unquote predestined if you really follow it, right? Not that there's no free will, but there's something else that it works it in our little ego mind of what we think we want, and all these, you know, a lot of conditioned desires and things we have. And then, yeah, our paths cross, and then going back to our experience in the jungle. So then he had this intense process, a shaman dealing with a psychic attack, and then we felt like we didn't feel doing the third ceremony, I think, right? We were like, it's enough for us. Like if something felt, there was some dark energy, something like, to say the least. You know, and but then we remember they were actually doing the ayahuasca ceremony. You know, with him, Pancho, and Florian, right? And we were sitting at night. You know, the stars are we're in the middle of the Amazon, low Amazon. I mean, it's beautiful, and the plays out and all this stuff. And then we started talking more, and then topic came up was the book Bringers of the Dawn, about Robin Siniak, which to that point I didn't even know you all also have read.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's when for the first time I heard like, wow, how it has affected you and me as well, right? Yeah. And you know, I've talked about this book before. It's kind of like, came out in the early 90s, and it's quote unquote channel material, you know, so there's a lot to be said about that, and truth is mixed with lies, and a lot in this book is a bit new agey and influenced by her filter, but there was a deeper, profound knowledge, something deeper. I also talk about the matrix, the dark forces, and what we're in right now, and that really, you know, the renegades, that we are here with a certain mission profile to incarnate in this specific time and age, and we need to remember that. And that's what I feel like, it's always more and more remembering, right? And then as we were talking in the middle of the night, we had this vision really come up of combining our medicines, our work, which was your sound healing initially, and me doing my healing work, body work, right? And it felt really good, and we just put the attention out there. And then, was it a year later or something, you came to Topanga Canyon, and I organized the workshop, because you came to California anyway, you did your travels, especially North California, to do sound healing ceremonies. Without what you want, just you step deep into your own, path of exploring sound and frequencies, which we can shortly talk about as well. But then I organized a workshop in Topanga to do like a group sound healing circle for your work, and then we did one day where we combined our work, working one-on-one on people. I do body and energy work, and you do sound healing with your amazing ancient instruments on the person at the same time. And that was really intense in a positive sense. Only doing the work and the way it affected people. And then forward again a little bit. Only a few months after that, I get a message from you that you at this retreat center, like this retreat in the jungle close to Tarapoto, and your friends founded it, but you were part of this community like 10 years ago or 12 years ago or longer, right? And you already were part of the vision to have this Ecolodge in the jungle, right? But then you as life happens, went on your own path. But Claudia and Javier, who own this beautiful land here and the Chirapa Manta Ecolodge, just founded it and created it, and just started like a couple of years ago? Like when was it fully
officially
established? Officially, right? And they invited you to hold a workshop, right? A sound healing workshop, flute making workshop. And you messaged me from the retreat, like, Armand, I found the perfect space to do like our work together. We could do something here together. Right? This is how the universe aligned. We just work with this intention and not just like, let life respond and kind of respond to that. So it was perfectly aligned, and then that's perfect. We designed the program and had our first retreat exactly a year ago in May, right? And also the way we designed our program, now we can talk maybe more about the time of transition retreat itself. We really wanted to, combine a lot that we have learned from our own experiences as well, the good and the bad, right? And also, work with shamanic medicine plants, but not in the quote-unquote typical way like it's done today at ayahuasca retreats or whatever, any medicine retreats where people just go on the next day, they do a ceremony, and then they do a ceremony every 2 days, and it's just that, and there's really no preparation, integration, or processing beyond just blasting your mind open with the medicine, which is not always very healthy, actually, as we know. Right? We work with people who have taken on entity attachments from ayahuasca ceremonies and all of that. So the way we designed the program is really, our intention was really to get people out of their comfort zone, especially Western, out of the city, right, out of their routines, away from technology, the internet, right, and immerse yourself in the land, in this pretty intense energy. Like I arrived there yesterday, and remember I took a nap for 2 hours and already like had visionary dreams. I mean, it's insane here, the downloads I'm getting. Like, and the way I'm decompressing, just being in this energy. So part of it is just being in the land and tuning into all of that here, right? So our work is really based on getting more into the body and tuning into these energies, right? So we incorporate, I teach Qigong, we do every morning, we do various embodiment practices, like obviously meditation, breath work, but movement exercises, 5 rhythm dance, which we do here in the Malaka, right? And sharing circles, and I give talks based on my work, which I write about on my website, to give a bigger picture overview of really the matrix control system from a hyperdimensional perspective up to the more 3D level, and what it truly means when we talk about awakening and transcending the matrix.
Yeah.
And then really doing that work of shadow, confronting the shadow work, which is really important based on Jungian psychology, just clear that out to anchor the divine force, right? And then, so we do all of that for 5 days. It's a group of only 9 people, small group, because we want to do individual attention. And then you also do a workshop, a talk on sound healing, how frequencies and sound affect, our human body, or consciousness in general, obviously, and can be used for healing. And then we go into hikes, bathe into the river down there, and just really tune into the land and really get grounded here and connect with each other. And then in this process, everybody starts opening up more into their vulnerabilities to really bond. And then you have that bond, and really everybody starts just really getting to know each other more and more. And then we do the Wachuma ceremony for 5 days into it. And just one is enough, I feel, because it already brings so much up if you have the right preparation work already, right? And then after that, we have still 3 days of integration, right? I give another talk on the true meaning of reality creation, your soul purpose and vocation, and how to align with the divine will as opposed to your egoic will, what you think you want, and which are desires most often conditioned based on wounds and social conditioning and whatnot. And then we go to a local town, to a cacao farm, and kind of re-immerse. And basically, the whole retreat, these 9 days, is like the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's, which I'm also giving a talk on the archetype of the hero's journey, how it ties to the embodiment process in our personal lives, and this experience here, and everything fuses well together, right? In the past 2 retreats, we had amazing experiences. Some of them are really challenging. It's not like, definitely for the participants, sometimes for us as well, obviously, because we also jumped into the unknown. You cannot test a retreat like that. You just got to do it, but we were just trusting the process, right? And really having that trust and faith, and that's the real meaning of faith, of the unknown, right? And we facilitate, it's like steering a ship, right? Like you provide, but then you have the trust and let it take its own course. And the jungle brings up a lot, right? It supports us, the spirits, but also brings up a lot, right? Whatever discomfort you may be dealing with, like away from what you're used to, like in your domesticated, civilized life, so to speak. But that's kind of, I think in a nutshell, of how the retreat, what the retreat is about and how it came about. And it was really in this alignment that it happened more or less effortless. Not that there was no work involved, obviously, but it was more tuning into something else, right? And a few years ago, I would have never imagined to be doing this kind of work. And I feel this is what also ties into the time of transition. So much is happening, and it's really like slowing down, right? I think we talked about this yesterday, about just like getting more grounded and responding more from down here and responding to the call. And that you never know what spirit brings, what is in alignment with your true soul path, rather than what you think you want, your goals and all these kind of things.
Yeah, I see this retreat is an opportunity to, because I see like we have so many programs running in our mind that we don't even think that we have, and we take it as, that's life. Like I remember asking to a university, a teacher, about asking him about certain topics, and he was like, well, Fred, this is how life it is. I cannot do anything about it. And in that moment, I felt inside of me like this call, deep inside of me, my soul saying, there's something that I can do for that. And I remember closed that chapter of the university, and I quit the university. And so I see that there's so many layers to go deep and to reprogram, to unlearn and to relearn. So this retreat, I feel that it's a great opportunity to reprogram ourselves, to get a different knowledge, to touch with our souls individually, as a group. I feel that in this modern world of individuality, the way that we set up the retreat, it's understanding the individuality of everyone, but at the same time the collective, and coming together, so you can mirroring to the other one, and it's like, yeah, your suffering, it's also my suffering.
That's a very good point. I think that's so powerful. I think in any group work, to varying degrees, and what people do in this day and age, but to do this work with a group, especially a smaller group, there's immense support, right? Where we experience that, where people are support each other and their vulnerability, and it creates so much compassion and empathy, and helps people to process in ways they would not be able to process before, right? So there's this container which is so beautiful, right? And all the judgment, all the ego stuff is left at the door, because we're all in this together here, right? Nobody cares whatever, how you look like, what you do for a living, it doesn't fucking matter. Right? And it brings it back to the raw essence. And that's beyond all the work that we do. I feel that's the magic that happens. That group support, and sometimes there's challenges, right? Obviously, right? And then there's always the mirroring, sometimes you get triggered by what another person says or behaves, but it's all part of the medicine, right? Whatever triggers you it's a hint to your own shadow, your own stuff, because you can never make anybody responsible for the way you feel. So tell us a little about your medicine work, and the medicine work I'm talking about is the sound. The sound healing, the sound frequency, in your relationship to that.
Oh man, when I think about life at sound, frequency, vibration, opens a doorway to understand even my thoughts, my ways to get related to other people, to myself, how I see everything is creating, everything it's sound, frequency, vibration. Some of them we don't listen because we have a range, of that human can hear, but there's vibration that we can feel in our body, It's like we are like antennas. Our hair, our ears, but it's like, for example, when you are next to somebody not saying anything, you feel there's a frequency that, and sometimes you can even listen to sound. You can feel some. So I went through all of that through the medicine path, the shamanic journey in plants, and to see how frequency and a song or a flute or the drumming affects your state of mind, affects your body, your liquids, your emotions, or could brings certain movement of your body. So yeah, I started this journey through all the Peruvian instruments, pre-Hispanic instruments, and I started to go deep in the different scales and sounds and textures and materials. If it's bamboo, if it's wood, if it's metal, or if it's a bone, a feather, and and every material has a different texture, energy, and also working with the spirit of the material as well. Like bamboo, for example, it's a tree that it's empty from inside, and that actually where its strength it's based on in his emptiness. So when you play the bamboo, it's or you see the tree, it's empty. So it's one of these instruments that I can see that it's ideal in that expression of the sound and the emptiness and
well, the thing, what I was, because I'm a musician and drummer, came to the US for some music, but for music had always a huge effect on me as well. I'm talking about space, but I also noticed as a drummer, you always want to play out your licks and whatever, but the most important part in music, which there wouldn't be music without it, is the space between the notes, right? That, the breathing place, like how that's where, I feel it all develops. Like a musician, has this, you need to work not only with the notes and the rhythms, but understand the space between them, because without it, there's no rhythm.
Yeah, the silence.
The silence, yes.
The silent sound, in a way. How I listen to silence, and at the same time in relationships. Yeah. When I'm talking, I need to also give that silence to listen to you. Nice. And when we are in a band or playing with some other, or in a relationship, it's when I just be quiet and listen to you, and let your voice, your words, your sound, your music talk to me. So from there I respond to you, and we create a harmony, a rhythm, a balance. And how I see, for example, working with you, probably in this drumming, music connection that we have, and in many other topics, but I feel it flows really
well. I'm amazed, especially when we do during the Wachuma ceremonies. When we work on everybody individually, bringing a circle, like I do some of my energy work, cranial circles, some light body work, and you do your sound healing, I feel we're telepathically just tuned into something. I don't even know. I'm not even trying to analyze it. Right? It's just happening perfect, and we actually need to go where it actually needs to be, and that's the feedback we get from everyone we work on as well. But it happens effortlessly. But talking about listening, it's so important this day and age, especially also because even when the other person's silent, you talk to him or her, but then the mind is already making up the answer of what you want to say. You're not really taking in the other person, right? There's all that going on. Yeah, right? To really
there's a lot of noise in the mind, distortion. It's darky. It's all the expression of music, and at the same time, for example, going to listen some dark music or heavy. For me, when I was young, in the 90s, how music, this metal, drumming, rock, was releasing so much, and nobody taught me about this thing, and that's the thing that many young people pick up, get some, different styles of music to express the inexpressible of your being, and music and sound brings up that way, that channel, and it was interesting for me to go deep in all this music as well. My drumming started with rock, and King Crimson, and all these different rhythms and breaking the patterns of the rhythm. Progressive rock was a big inspiration.
That's another thing about our connection, our similar music taste, Tool, Soundgarden, all these guys were amazing musicians, but also very, people consider dark music, heavy music. I grew up in the same, but for me, playing this, burying myself in the rhythm and expressing myself emotionally. It was shamanic drumming. It was medicine for me to clear myself out of all frustration, anger, conditioning, childhood stuff. I just needed to express and let out, right? And then felt better afterwards. That's the whole irony about misperception a lot of people of dark music, heavy music. It's evil, it's bad, it's negative. It's like, no, for me, from my perspective, from emotional and also musical perspective, it's deeply healing, right? It's a release, right? And in a sense, because that's where I came to the US to study drums and percussion, and played like 6 hours a day and played in bands, toured around for the first 10 years. That's what I did. And I feel like, looking back, that's what prepared me for the work I'm doing now. Also body work, because body work, it's all about rhythm for me as well, like tuning the rhythm of whatever I'm working on. Right? There's the pulse of the heart, there's the breath, there's the craniosacral pulse of the life, of the breath of life, as I call it, 12 cycles a minute. So you're tuning into, everything is rhythm. Everything is related and everything is rhythm, that's it. And then dance, that's what I love, dance, like conscious dance, to kind of like, express yourself, express emotions through your body, but you cannot do verbally, because the mind is just, doesn't process emotions by talking about them. I mean, you can to a degree, but essentially it has to happen through the body, right? And then the same with sound, like you talked earlier, how these frequencies affect us. Like music is such a profound effect on me. It's like, for me, maybe I'm biased, but it's the ultimate art form, right? It's like, it's not there, you cannot grasp it, right? You can, it's just, and it puts you always in the moment. I mean, if you truly listen to music, which I don't know how many people actually still, like, in this day and age, consciously listen to music. Yeah, you sit at home, you have a good sound system, or good headphones, and close your eyes and just listen, not just as background music, right? It puts you in the moment, and music is also very subjective, right? Brings up memories. What touches you may not touch me, but it definitely has triggered emotions that help me to get in my melancholy and cry, or just release anger and whatnot, and trigger some childhood memories. Like, have you ever noticed certain music you listen to, you were listening as a child or a young kid, you listen to this again now, and like you associate the memory of it from back then, and then you realize how much you have grown. And then certain music I used to be a huge fan of, I cannot relate to anymore, I cannot listen to anymore too. Right? So there's all that. But like you said before, like, these frequencies have always an effect on us, even if you don't feel it. Like, it still has an effect on you on some level, on an unconscious level. And then also, you see, talking about the matrix, sound frequency can also be used to manipulate and mind control. Right? You see a lot of pop modern music, MK Ultra type, Lady Gaga stuff, or like Katy Perry and all this kind of stuff, which even the lyrics and what is also the way to manipulate and program people, put spells on them.
Yeah.
Right? Again, like any medicine.
Exactly.
Use it for good or bad.
And I see in that scenario is a shamanic work in a way, because how I see, drums, beat, is like the pulse. Then you have the melodies, harmonies, and create the flowing of these notes coming together, but the beat is there. No? So in the tradition of the shamanic world is the drum beat, or the rattle, and the scene, the song. So it puts you in the trance. And when you get the substance to alter your state of consciousness, like boom, you go deeper and deeper, and you access to other realities. But now in this modern society, we are kind of creating a neo-shamanism when these live concerts with the DJs, like creating all these, everybody on drugs. And there's this shaman, working and getting like people like, boom, exploding, and then like working with the energy around thousands of people, putting what kind of energy, what kind of message, what kind of frequency and vibration to work with these people. So once again, we get to the point of like for example, all this trance music movement in the 90s. I remember people going and getting high with all these substances.
I was there.
Yeah. And you know, like the DJ is the shaman, the neo shamanism, and people, all the crowd, and it's the same. It's happening right now with the medicine. You know, it's because you know how the matrix works. So get infecting all these ways to just, you know, get more power, money, control, and using all these magic
or just getting hooked on the experience,
you
know, and then opening your minds to higher levels of conscious, entering other realms, which the ancient mystics and aware of they're far more dangerous realms than in the physical world. You know, there's this famous quote from Sufism, which I'm just paraphrasing. You know, behold yourselves, you know, because the soul is duped, you know, and then gets completely enamored by it, you know, by certain experiences in the hyperdimension on physical realm, because a lot of these entities appear as angels of light or as false light, so to speak, and that's where people get hooked on this altered experience, right? This altered state, and in esoteric mysticism is also called the mystica phenomena, where people get hooked on the experience itself, the peak experience, right? And we see this a lot in the medicine world, so to speak. People get hooked on the experience, on, you know, and I know people have done 50, 80, 100, whatever, ayahuasca ceremonies, but they still believe in government and voted for Obama or whatnot, you know, like it doesn't automatically decondition you, right? And then they actually also, their emotional intelligence is not really developed as well, because they're stuck, you know, it kind of like fragments your energy body and can do a lot of damage, right? If you don't do the work in the sober state and really embody that and really anchor it fully, and you know, because in the end these plants are tools, right? And at some point you put the tool away. You don't want to get addicted to the tool, or mistake the tool for the truth, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and you are all the time looking for that experience to get high.
Yeah.
So when you get down in your, you know, sober life, it's like, oh,
exactly,
I need it again. So the next weekend you are in another.
Yeah, and like you have to say, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm in one with everything, you know.
And that's one of our hardest challenges, is how to bring that life, how to bring those teachings, that knowledge in our daily life, and you know, when we read a book, it's like, oh, it's so inspiring. Intellectually, it's like, oh,
it feels inspiring, yes, but
then I close the book and then I go cross that door,
and something triggers you, and you're back.
Yeah. So it's a work in progress.
Right. No? But that's why, you know, I feel medicine plants that can be useful as tools to open something up, to start something like initiation, right? But essentially it's about activating your DNA, your original genetic blueprint, and anchor that higher frequency. The divine needs to happen, can only happen in a sober state, to fully, truly, without external stimulation of substances. And that's what all the ancient esoteric teachings you look at. None of them mention anything about, oh, you got to take this plant or this plant to become enlightened. Right? I feel there's a lot of distortion in shamanism as well. And in ancient shamanism, what I read a book, I forgot the name, that actually ayahuasca and medicine plants was introduced later into shamanism because the shamans lost the connection. And originally shamanism was all about naturally getting these trance states to trance drumming and all these kind of ways, and then do the work. Right? Yeah. That is not to be said. There's, you know, we have seen in our lives and other people's lives, obviously the positive effects of medicine plants, but it needs to be in a certain context, right? And there needs to be follow-up work and all of that. And eventually you wanted, what actually people wanted it, truly wanted, they know it or not, is the divine love, the true love, to anchor within themselves. But you can only anchor it if you clear the vessel of all the stuff that is not in alignment, that is not of that what you want, right? That is of a lower state. And that entails deep shadow work, right? Clearing out wounds, childhood wounds, things most people don't even have, they want. But like you said, at the beginning, we have become used to it, and they think that's who they are. But they identify with this false self, right? And then try and have, like I mentioned before, conditioned desires, goals, and needs, and wants that are not even there, and that's how it runs their lives, you know? Like a machine, like Guenther said, people are machines, right? Not dreaming to be awake. But to anchor this higher love, we need to go through the shadow of death, like you know, the underworld, like a hero's journey, to clear ourselves and then reunite with the divine feminine, which is the analogy when the hero liberates the princess, right? Our divine feminine aspect, that alchemical inner marriage, right? And that's sometimes not an easy process because it entails utter disillusionment, like the death, like, you know, and rebirth. That's the true meaning of the second birth, right? To be reborn in our true selves, anchoring the divine, right? So, yeah, medicine plants can initiate help in the process, right? But I feel that, you know, learned the hard way myself as well, there needs to be a context and way more. And also, I see it for many people, it's not necessary. Like, I want to really make this clear in this day and age, especially ayahuasca is so hyped, and some people need to experience this and feel sometimes even pure group pressure, or like, if I don't try this out, I don't, you know, cannot heal myself. Like, no, you know, like for me personally, medicine plants, I was working a lot in my early life, in my 20s and early 30s, especially psilocybin mushrooms, you know, which that was definitely an ally for a while, helped me a lot to work for childhood wounding. But what I've noticed as well, because I went far out there at some point, eating like 8 grams by myself, locking myself in a room, but it brought up too much too fast. My psyche couldn't handle it. I need to step away and then learn basic psychology, basic spiritual processing, meditation, and all of that, getting into my body. That's how I was introduced to yoga, qigong, body work, and all of that, right? And but it's not, so for me it just came naturally to me. I was not, even with ayahuasca, I was not like, I need to do it. It just, the opportunity presented itself, right? But nowadays I feel a lot of people have this pressure that they want it and do it and look for it forcefully, and then you're already out of alignment. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And you just try to make it happen. That's how people get themselves into very dangerous situations. Like, I'm gonna look up an ayahuasca retreat on the internet. Yes. That's how this guy who contacted us got himself into trouble, to say the least, right? So there's this discernment factor, right? And when we talked about our life and how we connected and how this retreat here manifested, there's engaging on this flow of life and responding to life, rather than forcefully, via willful doing, trying to make it happen. Right? It's not about just sitting back and just waiting for stuff to come to you. That's the other extreme. But it's more about the flow, you know, like Bruce Lee, be like water, right? That you know, tuning into the Tao, which is very hard to do because we are disconnected from our bodies, and our bodies connect to the flow, right? There's non-verbal guidance, and we are up here all the time, you know.
And we think that we have to control.
Yes.
And we want to control everything. So if we don't trust in this divine intelligence, wisdom, this is working through us, because it's not about me or you, it's, you know. And if we allowed ourselves to get guided in that soul level, we can start to listen and to see things.
And it requires humility, surrender, right? That deep humility, surrender, and full self-taking responsibility for everything that happens in your life, right? That humility, you know, to that surrender is everything the ego wants to resist, because it doesn't want to give up control, right? I need to control this, you know, like that's, I mean, I'm not taking myself out of the equation. That's the hardest thing, that surrender. But once you truly surrender, right, and tap into that flow, doors open up where there were no doors before. Right? And I feel that's always available for us. But we're so complicated beings, like Adyashanti. We just talked about this morning about this quote by Adyashanti, and I love it. You know, he said something that people are always looking for altered state of consciousness, right, and all of that, but, you know, fact of the matter is we are already in our quote-unquote sober state in an altered state of consciousness. It's not our true nature. We're so disconnected from our original genetic blueprint, full DNA activation of who we truly were before the fall of Eden. We are in an altered state of consciousness. So we have to actually sober up. Right? Which reminds me of the Tool song, Sober.
Sober, yeah.
Why can we not be sober? You know?
Yeah, it feels really good for me to work with you.
Yes.
In the process that I am relating in my own healing work, in my own transformation service,
right.
You know, work. After all these years, to reconnect with you and to bring up this setup, it's like resonate a lot with me in a levels that I wasn't expected in certain way, because in the unconscious or in a soul level it's working, and suddenly it's like you find that other, you know, to match and do things. And I see how in many relationships, you know, you find that match to work through specific time and moment, and I feel that it's bringing up a lot of healing personally, and that way, and also as my purpose, because I felt that I wanted to not, you know, be working for the matrix as the machine. I didn't want that, so I put myself into that commitment to say, okay, I want truth. I want to walk my path. I want to walk what I talk, and all these years, you know, I feel that this is a result of a lot of you know, personal work, and to get to this point that it's like
there's a lot of suffering too, a lot of shadow. I mean, that's just the way it is. When you answer the call, like, what do you want? That's a really good thing what you just said. You know, for people to really think about what is your true intention, like what you truly want, right? And never talk about stuff, right? But really like this deeper soul desire. And are you willing to subject yourself to anything that is, you know, that needs to be confronted within yourself to get you there, right? Yeah. I mean, that's also when in the end we're talking about awakening, right? The process of awakening, which is a process, you know. Yeah, you know, like you said, like I feel like in terms of work we do, healing work, we heal ourselves. I see myself in others. When I work on somebody, like I'm doing body work on myself. That's almost like I feel this, like this oneness in that moment when I'm out of my head and it just flows, right? And I constantly learn and you know, and it's always a teaching, learning all the time.
Yeah. It's a working process. All this enlightenment state, it's like this. Yeah. Like going up and down. It's like some moments it's like vroom, you're like, oh, but then it's like vroom. So when somebody asks me, I want to get enlightened. Okay, so put your fingers in the plug.
Right.
So yeah. Because like the enlightenment, how I see it, is to get to those deep states of awareness, and when you are not anymore, the threat doesn't exist, and just like feel in that energy and connection to the whole this reality, and then okay, I open my eyes, and then it's like, okay, I'm dealing with this reality, in this human shape, this human form, with all these other situations and circumstances, you know, like dealing with the matrix, dealing with my family, all the psychological emotions, and like, okay. But how to bring that awareness and that enlightenment in my daily life? that's the challenge, because I'm not a tree,
Right.
you know, but I'm bringing that wisdom, that knowledge of the leaves, the trees, the animals, the sun, the air, like into my life, and how I see the planet. It becomes like a school,
Yes.
and here we are to learn this alchemy of elements, emotion, feeling, thoughts, and matter, spirit.
Yes,
all
human
these-
beings were like in between, in between state.
in between states. And that's what makes the mystery of the evolution of the human being. It's like amazes me, and at the same time, you know, I feel hope in a way, because I'm working on that. We are working on these things, and sometimes I see the other side of humanity, like doing all these weird, dark processes. Like, wow, humans, the whole spectrum of the human experience is like, wow, it's so
It's intense, man.
intense. And at the same time, seeing all this amazing creativity and love, compassion.
But that's part of that duality. We live as much as beauty and light. The amazing, that's also on the opposite end, the horror, the atrocities of quote unquote evil stuff. Most people have even no awareness of it exists at all. And that's it's a part of life. It is all part of the one playing itself out.
Yeah. And yeah, I see when light, for example, sunlight gets too strong, shadow gets stronger.
Exactly. Yeah.
So all this contrast.
And that's what we bringing it back to the time of transition. As the energies increase, I see the dark and light is both increasing. It has to both increase because the one cannot exist without the other.
And that's the way that we can see actually the dark and the light clearly.
And it's a teaching function to make the darkness conscious, right? Again, the famous quote by Carl Jung: "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." So in the end, all this craziness, the universe actually supporting. It shows that here, this is what needs to be faced. You need to look at it, look at yourself, look at the world, look at the shadow, to help transmute it, to transcend it. You know, don't try to avoid it, don't try to make it go away, certainly don't ignore it. You cannot eradicate it. You have to look at it.
Yeah.
Unflinching, as Don Juan said, you know, face infinity, you know, I forgot the quote. But you know, with this unflinching, with this 0 point consciousness, non-reactive, just looking at it, but you don't react, you don't give away your energy, your being. Stay grounded in truth, in the divine. And that's easier said than done. All right, hermano. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We gotta get going. And that's that.
Yeah. Thank you, Manu. And yeah, I mean, so many things to share, but yeah, the possibility to work with technology.
Yes.
And to share in other ways, and connect with other people, and people that can, you know, resonate again, like sound, you know,
Right.
resonate our work,
And also, this work is not for everyone. You know, so what we do is not for everyone. We're not claiming that this is everybody has to do this. This is just, you know, the awakening path, you know, is a highly individual path. It's very unique. What works for one may not work for another, right? And that's really important to understand, to respect the individual process. Gracias, hermano.
Gracias a ti.